Welcome to Samutsari, Conversations with Mimi, a weekly podcast by Dinosocial, also a member of the Gorilla Podcast Syndicate. Samutsari is where we can show that ordinary people do extraordinary things. Tune in to be entertained and to learn something new with your host, Mimi Lorilla.
Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome to Samutsari Conversations with Mimi, a podcast featuring hot topics of interest for both women and men alike. I am your host, Mimi Lorilla, again, for welcoming you to this program. And here at Samutsari, you know that we share stories to inspire you and stories that are from ordinary people who do extraordinary things. We are on season 2, and we know that season 2 is all about working online, whether you are a business owner, whether you are a freelancer, whether you have pivoted your business or your work from face-to-face to online. That is what we feature in the show. And at the same time, occasionally we go back to the original intention of the show, which is to really feature people that have extraordinary talents, passions, skills, or strategies in their daily lives that will enable us to learn from them as they share their experiences, and at the same time, we will get to see how we can apply that in our own lives. So today is not any different from the overall theme of Samutsari Conversations with Mimi. Kaya lang, medyo may pagka-scientific ang dating ng ating episode for today. So let me just introduce our guest. So I have Miss Dr Lhen Parungao Balolong, but I call her Len, si Dr. Len. She's a professor and a university scientist, and she's also the lead of the Applied Microbiology for Health and Environment Research Group, and she's from the University of the Philippines, Manila. Welcome, Prof. Len ba o Dr. Len? How do your students call you? Welcome, Len, my younger sister.
Thank you, Ate Mimi. I'm still okay with just Len. If you're confused with Doctor or Professor, Len is okay na.
Okay na. Humble ka talaga, Len. Wala akong masabi sa'yo. Thank you for allowing me to spend a bit of Samutsari time with you. I know you're a very busy person, and your profile as a professional and the work that you do, I think, is really, really important. And that's the reason why I have matagal na kita gusto kita, hihiya lang ako i-click yung invite and send button. But because of a recent interview with Ana, sabi ko, eto na, nagparamdam na si Len. Pwede ko na siyang so I'm really, really happy. So Len, today I'd like to share your profession and your field of expertise with the audience. So my audience are people that are listening on YouTube, watching me on YouTube, listening me on Spotify and other podcast platforms. So just to give everybody a very, very brief snapshot, and si Len na siguro mamaya ang mag-expound nito. So Len is a diplomate of the Philippine Academy of Microbiology. So yan ang gusto kong isang area na itackle natin today. You are trained as a microbiologist since 1993. You started at UP Los Baños, and then you went to UP Manila, where you obtained your PhD in health in medical microbiology, 2015 lang, so not too long ago. And then a postdoc ka pa in industrial microbiology and biotechnology from the Dankook, tama ba to? Dankook University, Republic of Korea. So talagang yung passion mo sa pag-aaral, sa science, sa microbio, talagang parang nanunuot at I don't know the Tagalog term for that, parang dumadaloy na sa iyong dugo. So give us a little bit of an insight of who Len is as a student or yung kabataan mo. Paano ka ba na-influence sa field of science, especially microbiology? So just give us a little bit of a context of your background, Len.
Okay, thank you for that backgrounder, Ate Mims. Actually, as a kid, I really wanted to explore sciences. Pero when I was a kid, I want to be an astronaut, really.
Wow.
I want to reach the stars, the planets, something like that. And ride this aircraft, no? During my high school years, siguro, this particular teacher, my biology teacher, inspired me to really siguro influence me in a way to enjoy looking at small creatures, no, under the microscope. And I ventured into biology for that instance. I don't really like started to decide, okay, I will be a microbiologist someday. Not really, no. It was really a process. So when I went to college in UPLB, so I decided to take biology because I wish to be a doctor also. A physician, you know, someday. I think everyone would like to be a doctor
Yeah,
now when
that's
they
the
grow up,
standard
diba? Diba?
protocol
I
when I
want to
grow
be a
up.
doctor, parang everyone. Diba? Everyone.
True.
And then during the third year, we have to decide to take a major, no? So like biology, and then you have to decide whether you would like to study plants, animals, microorganisms, and the likes, you know. So I don't know the reason behind, no, what are the criteria that okay, these are the things that I need to check and then decide. Parang wala ako nun. I was too young then. So
Yeah.
I just decided based on ano ba yung grade na mataas ako. So during my second year, my microbiology 1 or basic micro was really mataas, no. It was really, I got a grade of 1. No, 1 is really wow, galing-galing, ano. And rarely do we receive that. So and the teacher also somehow influenced me, no. So medyo mahalata nyo na maraming teachers that somehow influenced me very much in all my decisions.
Yep.
So I took the major in microbiology during my third year. I enjoyed it kahit yung grades namin are talagang very difficult to pass, ano. But it was really enjoyable, no? You know, seeing those things that you just assume to be microorganisms. Andyan ba yung microbes? Parang ganun, ano? But it was really fun. And of course, the friendship, ano? So after that, after I presented my thesis, my future boss told me, there's an opening in Biotech UPLB. This is a research institution. I also don't know about research, but you know, there's a job, no? Okay, there's a job. Yeah, I will not be one of the jobless people after graduation. So I grabbed it, ano. So my work there was a research associate, so doing research, doing services, analyzing yung madaming food sample, water sample, soil samples if they have microorganisms in there, something like that, no? So where the food, kapag may microorganisms, we don't like that, it will not be ready to the market, diba? So we do that routinely, no? But after 8 years, I decided that, you know, okay, I got my master's after 8 years of working. And then I said, is this okay? Am I happy? So that was the turning point in my life. So I have to really decide what I want to do. And then I transferred to UP Manila to teach. No? So that was my decision. I would like to be a teacher. Hanggang I'm old, no? So I transferred to UP Manila.
Yung life mo to educate others.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the thing inside me, that I really want to help and inform people about what I know. No? So I learned, and then I have to pass it. No? So something like that. So I transferred to UP Manila. You know, the probinsya na in me got culture shock na natutulog yung mga tao sa streets. Can you imagine? There's a person. Sandali, should I cross the street and then, you know, avoid the people? So that it was really a culture shock from UPLB, from the very homey Los Baños.
Yes, sheltered life. Yeah.
City of Manila. So I was really traumatized. But the growing experience, you know, it really made me mature on living on my own, away from my parents, and then learning how to struggle and all those things, decide on my own. So the teaching also, interacting with the students, you know, the youngsters, no, and all of them most likely will be doctors because PGH is just beside our building.
That's right.
So I was so happy nurturing, mentoring these kids, and then now they are, you know, surgeons, derma, internists, you know. And through time, I said, wait, this is not the only thing that I want to do, you know? So that's why I ventured in research. And you know, in the academe, kapag you are in the academe, you are required to learn continuously. That's why I took the courage to study and take PhD, no? And sabi ko, sige na nga, mag-doctorate na nga ako. So I took Doctor of Public Health because siguro ganun na naman, I really wish to help people, to serve people. And then I took public health again with microbiology because that's the thing that I'm trained, And then after studying, pagdating sa thesis ko, I have no money, I have no scholarship, and that's make or break. After 6 years, I have to decide. Stop na PhD, wala kang pera.
So paano ka survive, Len? How did you get through that challenge in your life?
By God's grace, nakakatuwa, Kasi there's someone that I met in a conference, a Korean professor, and then he told me, I need students in my lab. And there you are, after a few years, andun na ako. Ginagawa ko yung thesis ko, and I finished my thesis there. Bumalik lang ako para graduate, ceremonial, and then bumalik ulit ako for my postdoc. It was really a great experience. It was really a great experience in the sense na hindi ko magagawa lahat ng yun dito sa Pilipinas. So lahat tuloy nung natutunan ko, again, ang dami ko na namang bit-bit na learnings, at yun yung I'm sharing at this point. And it was really cool that during this pandemic, I have learned all these things that I can do at home. So parang nagagawa ko siya at home, working on computers, all the data analysis, naaral ko yan lahat sa Korea. And yun pala yun, na when the pandemic came.
Is Korea super advanced compared to the Philippines in terms of microbiology?
Well, there are some technologies that they are very well advanced compared to us. But Filipinos, we are very fast learners, no? Teach me how to do it, and then, once, twice, alam ko na. Parang ganun kaagad, And then ang gusto ko rin in the setup ko sa Korea, my professor was so, very mabait and very helpful, and the lab is very simple. So it's like ni-level up ko lang yung Philippines laboratory namin na may mga laman. all the things that I needed, are there, and then the things that I've learned I can apply. And then parang pag-uwi ko, I also have a small lab. So parang pareho lang. So it was again a blessing that I got so many grants when I get home. So I get to practice what I learned. So siguro yun yung fun, yun yung fun.
Pero backtrack muna tayo. Very interesting na yung nandun na ako sa mga tanong na yun pero focus muna ako doon. Backtrack muna tayo, Len. Kasi for the lay person, yung mga nakikinig sa atin na walang kaalam-alam sa science, I have 2 questions for you. So yung first question ko, usually kasi pag science, people think it's more of a male or a masculine field. So, and you obviously have an interest in your chosen profession. So yung para sa'yo, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a woman or a man. I want to get your insight na mahirap ba mag-venture ang mga girls sa field mo. So that's one. The other question is, how do you explain microbiology in layman's terms? You mentioned a while ago that you look into the microscope and look at particles. Di ba boring yun? Meron ba tayong iba pang way to express or describe microbiology that's more interesting and more enticing sa mga future students na baka elementary pa sila ngayon or parents sila na nag-iisip ng mga future courses for their kids. So those 2 muna before we continue with your with the things that I want to ask you more about.
Sige, for your first concern, so science is a male's world. Well, they say that it's really a man's world. In microbiology, ibang-iba yung Philippines and Korea. In the Philippines, most of us are female.
Wow, okay. That's surprising.
But when I went to Korea, most of them are male. So it's really very difficult, Kaya kapag when I meet a Korean microbiologist that is a woman, I celebrate talaga. Yay, finally meron akong But as a person, I always advocate that science has no gender bias, it's really is for male, female, or anything that you can identify with na gender, it's the interest that should spark within, no? No, parang ganun na gusto ko ng science, gusto mag-aral ng dahon, ng clouds or whatsoever, no? Male or female can be microbiologists. I'm talking in the perspective of our discipline, ano? You know what's good with women is we are multitaskers, ano? And in microbiology, you need that, no? While you're sterilizing your media, you need to do something here, and then meron ka pang pine-prepare doon and something else. So it's really an advantage if you're a multitasker.
That's right.
Second
and
is if
probably
you are
your
a
attention to detail mo. And probably your attention to detail.
Right, ano? And another one is you should be a troubleshooter. Nako, ayan, second yan, ano? And I don't think na ayoko siyang ikahon na only women can do this or only men can do this. But I always say we can also do this. Women can also do this, no? So ayun, kaya always my hashtag would always be women can science. Nobody should tell us otherwise.
That's
Right? That's my first question. So for those little girls that would like to venture into science, please do so. We need quite a lot of empowered girls to do science. We need quite a lot of questions to be answered. So paglaki nyo, we need you.
Yeah.
Second one, if they will ask, what do you mean by microbiology? How could I explain? Favorite exam question ko yan or quiz question ko yan. How do you explain the concept of microorganisms to a 3-year-old? Favorite ko yung ipa-exam, ano? Kasi it's really very difficult if you define, microorganisms. If you wish to study microorganisms, you need a special tool, the microscope. Oh yes, sometimes it's boring, ano, kasi lalo na, and it's tiring sa mata. But there are quite a lot of gadgets nowadays wherein you can view your microorganisms in the TV set na, no? So dun mo na siya i-manipulate on the computer. So when you say microorganisms, even if we cannot see them, they have a big impact in your life. So in order to appreciate them, you need to identify where they are. Okay? So number 1, they are more than 50% of our body is composed of microorganisms. Can you imagine? So if you will pray, I hope microorganisms will be gone. More than half of your body will be gone. No? So they maintain the digestion inside our tummies. So they maintain quite your skin to be healthy. May mga microorganisms dyan that serve as warrior to prevent yung mga microbiome na dumidikit sa iyo, kalaban nila yan. There are some helpful microorganisms in your mouth and so forth and so on. So please, not all microbes causes disease. Kasi yun laging connotation nila, di ba?
That's
microbio, you study microbio, those microorganisms can get us sick. There may be 20% lang or really very few species that will make you sick. Most of them are very, very beneficial for humans, for animals, for the environment. So when you say, what is microbiology? Actually, microbiology makes the world survive.
Oh, wow. So para ka na rin palang doktor in a sense na hindi lang the human body, but everything else around
Hindi lang ako makakareseta. But I can explain. I can explain the illness.
Yeah. True. Tama ka dyan. Ito na nga, pupunta na nga tayo dun sa next part ng aking mga line of questioning. You are not just a professor or a teacher, you are also a scientist, talagang a practicing scientist. And sabi mo nga dito, yung experience mo even for your postdoc and all the international kumbaga yung mga nabaon mo nga na information. I note here that you were one of the outstanding ASEAN Science Diplomate by the ASEAN Foundation. Tapos nag-outstanding scientific paper award ka pa on your work with antigen delivery and antibiotic resistance. Na-given siya ng NASD. So, belated congratulations for that. But if you walang belated yan, it will stay on as part of your credentials because of your important work. So, if you bring down ko lang to in more practical terms. Sabi mo, meron itong probiotic and postbiotic may cancer-related study. So I'm just trying to kind of picture how that scientist in you works. You also studied something around COVID and AMR risk monitoring and prediction in wastewater. And then meron pa kayong mga policy analysis, meron pa kayong wildlife and COVID analysis. Yan na siguro yung mga practical uses ng field ng microbiology. And I think I'm really interested in the COVID aspect of that. Kasi I've seen you share your posts around a lot of forums, a lot of seminars, sometimes papatidi ka na yata to explain the work that you do. And because we are in the middle of a pandemic and COVID is such an important word and an important phenomenon for all of us, can you share lang, don't be so technical, but just share to the viewers, what is it around COVID that you are trying to analyze or study, or ano ba talaga tong pagiging scientist mo and how it relates to these things that I already mentioned?
Ayun, that's the beauty of microbiology, di ba? Pwede kang isingit kahit saan, ano? So you mentioned about probiotics, no? So that's a development of healthy foods using microorganisms. So may microbial pattern tinitake, and then you prevent diseases from coming, no? And then we also study environmental microbiology. So we monitor microorganisms, pati yung antimicrobial resistance from the reservoir. Kasi our environment are the reservoir of many microorganisms. Kaya di ba sabi sa atin when we were kids, don't play with lupa.
That's right.
Magkakasakit ka. Mga ganyan-ganyan, ano? Kasi talagang billions and more than that na mikrobyo talaga ang nasa soil, but not everything will get you sick. Some of them maintains the health of the soil for the plants, no? So we study those things, no? We study the reservoir, whether meron ba sa soil, meron ba sa water, or even sa wastewater, yung mga nanggagaling sa mga bathroom natin na water. Meron ba doon na mga microorganisms that in the future can cause pandemics? No?
Right.
So we need to monitor. No? We need to monitor them. So recently, since I'm not a doctor, I cannot study patients, right? So I need to study lang dun lang sa aking niche, kumbaga, no? So I have collaborated with engineers, civil engineers, and then chemical engineers. Then we also have molecular biologists. Ito naman yung nag-aaral ng mga DNA, yan, ng mga ganyan, no? Inside the cells or inside the viruses. And then we try to develop a system wherein we can monitor or predict, the risk of a certain area, sa COVID. Like if we take, for instance, this river system or this wastewater system, and then we get samples, and then we take the microbial load or the viral load, for instance, for COVID, we will tell you that, hey, Mimi, do you live near this place? Kasi we got these samples monitored for this week. It's quite high. Maybe you would like to have yourself tested, etc., etc. No? So it's prediction, risk prediction. And we know that prevention, is the greater key kaysa magkasakit ka. Lalo na ngayon COVID, no? Ang laki ng hospital bills when you get COVID, but prevention is very cheap. No? So that's one project. Another one is we know that COVID diagnosis, yung paano mo malaman kung may COVID ka, is using your nasal swabs or your oropharyngeal swabs or your saliva, something like that, no? In some cases, it's very invasive, no? Para sa ibang tao, ayoko nga wag mo kung salaksakin sa. Oo, no? So since we are through time, I think a decade already that we've been studying the microbiome, yung microbial composition, total composition of the human body, we decided to create a hypothesis whether we can use your fecal samples or your stools, no, as a source of for diagnosis and also for prognosis, meaning are you mild COVID, are you moderate, are you severe, etc.
Are you the only people?
Your poo sample.
Oo nga, but are you the only group in the Philippines doing this, or are you the only group internationally that's doing this?
We are in the Philippines. Our studies covers just the Philippines. Actually, our study will just cover the city of Manila, particularly PGH. So it's a proof of concept. The Department of Science and Technology just gave us a year to prove our concept that it will work, no? Kasi imagine, no, you just submit stool samples. Kasi if you study the virus, it can stay in your intestines. So you can use shed it. I mean, shed it in your stool. It can also stay in your kidney, so you can shed it in your urine. So if you get wastewater samples, you can also detect COVID.
How
So
exciting
dito sa
naman.
patients, no? Dito sa patients, we try to use the fecal samples, no? So to detect whether you have COVID, and then second, what spectrum.
Wow. Parang hindi yata ako makakatulog sa idea na naku, baka yung tubig ko. but I'm not surprised because even here in Australia, I nababalitaan ko yung wastewater eh. They also use that as a predictor of saan ba nakuha yung mga cases.
I think Victoria already have a concept.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are
yes.
doing that. So I was really impressed that nandun na rin kayo sa path na yun. And at the same time,
Yes.
sabi mo na fecal sample is a predictor for future, ganun. Dito kasi like mga over 50s naman, based on our own experience, meron silang pinapadala na testing kit for bowel cancer naman. So, yung fecal sample mo, papadala mo, safe naman siya. Then you send it with the prepaid envelope to the lab. And then after a week or 2 weeks, they tell you, you're safe, you don't have this, so you're free.
Yeah.
Parang ganun. So, ang ganda.
Yeah. So it's something like that, Mimi. We'll be giving those toolkits ang tawag namin, and then they'll send us back, and then we'll give you whether you
yung
samples
result.
of COVID.
Galing. Sana nga may ganun para mas encourage yung mga mas marami pang tao at hindi naman sila masyado matakot sa mga proseso ng mga swabbing na yan. So, Len, ang isa ko pang gustong itanong, do you have a life? Mukhang busy ka. Do you have a life outside of? That's what I mean. Do you have a life outside of the academe, outside of your research work? What makes you relax, unwind, take your mind off the stresses of work? I'm sure your loving husband is fully supportive of everything that you do, and I hope na hindi kanya kinokontra sa mga gusto pang gawin sa buhay. So, bigyan mo naman kami ng lighter side ni Len. What is and who is Len outside of your professional work life?
Nako, actually pre-pandemic, hindi kami nag-stay ng husband ko sa house. We're always, we're on travel, no? We like to explore new places and explore new food and ganyan. So that's our outlet. We jog, we run, we swim, whatever, we bike, no? Kaya actually this pandemic has really created a very difficult toil on us eh. Kasi mo, sanay ka na you wonder every time you're stressed or tired, and then suddenly you're just home. It was really very difficult for us, ano? So what we during the pandemic, we got a cat, and pa rin naman, I tried experiments in the kitchen, no, during the pandemic, but I really managed to have outlets, no. Yun talaga yung very important, to manage time very effectively, kasi there should always have your time for work and time for everything, no. In my mind, there should always be service, no. Wala ka magagawa doon. You really have to serve. I'm teaching in the government, so I really have to serve whether you like it or not. But yun nga, no, I'm really thankful for my husband. He's really very supportive. I'm not sure I'm gonna graduate without his sacrifice. We really need to move out from the Philippines to Korea. We really need to be together. Kasi sabi namin nung mag-girlfriend, boyfriend pa lang kami, hindi kami pwedeng magkahiwalay, no? So, kung merong pupuntahan yung isa, kailangan bitbitin yung isa.
Tama yun.
So when the Korean professor told me, this is really one of my favorite stories. When the Korean professor told me, Len, I have a space here in the lab for you. Can you ask your husband how long can you stay here so you can do your thesis? So tinanong ko yung husband ko, dear, there is a space now for me to work on my thesis. How long can I stay there? Oh, you can stay there for 2 weeks. tapos sabi ko, okay, di ako naman, no? So sabi ko, okay, as a Korean professor, professor, I think I can stay for 2 weeks. You cannot finish a thesis for 2 weeks. What is the discipline of your husband? So sabi ko, my husband is a vet. And he's working, his career is very good before we left. No? Ang ganda ng position niya sa UP Manila. And the career opportunities was really, surrounding him during that time. But since I need to go there and I need to finish, what he did was he did not renew his contract, and he just tagged along. And my Korean professor told me I can look for professor for him. So nag-study rin siya doon. It was really a blessing na rin. So he sacrificed a lot, He sacrificed a lot. So parang sa akin, I think my husband is siya rin yung alam mo yung nakikita niya at nararamdaman niya kasi pag ayan na, nasa stress na tong bulilit na to. So siya yung nagpapakalma and everything, may ganyan. So I really appreciated him, especially during this pandemic na I need to talk to so many people remotely. Minsan yan ang tanong din nila sa akin, natutulog ka pa ba? Sabi ko, oo naman, natutulog naman ako. But it's really fulfilling. Number one is if you have a supportive family, and number two is that you can offer yourself to serve people in whatever way you can. So hindi naman namin to kinayayaman, pero when you see those people that you have served, lalo na sa vaccination, when before everyone was so scared, so I was here, there, and everywhere talking about vaccines and the good they do, and then later you will receive a call or a text message, and then they will say, Doc, I got the vaccine already, and I told my friends also to get their vaccine. So yung ganun, alam mo yun na yung payment para sa mga hard work that you do.
So, from a scientist's perspective, ano ba talaga ang stand mo on the vaccine? Marami kasing anti-vaxxers, maraming mga spreading misinformation about efficacy of the vaccine. Maraming nagsasabi na ang vaccine it's a personal choice, and it's not supposed to be mandated because we have control over our bodies. So, what's your perspective on this then?
Of course, as a scientist, I will always look at data. So all of my decisions, all of the things that I'm saying will always be based on data. So hindi siya based sa chika ni ate o ni kuya, or hindi siya based sa Facebook post forwarded or kung ano man yun. I always look at it. So pag may nababasa ako na things that are against anything, I would look into it. And through time, you can see the good that vaccines do, So it's just a matter of kung makikita mo nga, ang daming nagawang vaccines. So this is really a good time for science, that the scientists help together to create a vaccine just in time, just in time for us to need it. And then when people question whether if it's good or bad, I always stand for the science. If you are taking so many things, orally inside your body, take them inside your body without even testing or making sure they're good. Tinest ito.
That's right.
And you're questioning it, it's really crazy, So, yes, of course, the people have the decision. Of course, we all have a choice, Lagi sa'yo pa rin yung decision. Pero yun nga, it's just a matter of choosing for yourself or choosing for everyone, So when getting vaccinated, whether it's for COVID or any other vaccine, it's not really just protecting yourself. It's really actually protecting so many people, that cannot even get that vaccine. So I really advocate that people would really get it, get the vaccine. And I really pity those people na gustong-gusto na nila to get vaccinated, but the supplies are so small, the supplies are so low, hindi sila naaabot, And sabi ko nga, for those people who have those vaccines, but you're not going to get it, please give it to us.
That's right.
And we will give it to those people who need it.
Who really need it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Wow, ang ganda talaga ng mga natutunan ko ngayon, Len. I couldn't believe that you have explained things to me that I personally don't know much about, and then I needed to parang ma-imagine ko sa mind ko para pag naintindihan ko, mas may explain ko rin sa iba. So, I really thank you for taking time. But before we formally close with this program or online show, do you have any last message or advice to all of us, people out there about science in general, or about the COVID vaccine, or about being in microbiology as a field? Up to you, Len. I'm giving you the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mimi. Okay, sa akin, I always tell my students this, but I think this is also applicable for everyone. Ano? In treating or understanding a disease or an illness, it does not really just take one doctor. No? It takes a village. No? And the microbiologist is one of them. And actually, sometimes the microbiologist will come the earliest and leave the last. No? Because we should understand the microorganisms. And if you will take a look at this pandemic, there's no cure. So the doctors are so many, but there's no cure. But the microbiologists have stepped up, helped created the vaccine, helped created the possible candidates for your cure, and understand why the variants are now, getting so many. So, yun yung crucial role ng microbiology. And we are relatively few. So, I really hope that the young people, any gender, will be very excited and interested in learning microorganisms, including viruses, because we help the doctors or the physicians treat their patients.
Wow, ang galing. So kayo pala ang mga wind beneath the wings sa field of
behind the
science.
scenes.
Yes,
Behind the
exactly.
scenes.
Ang galing, Len. I'm so happy. I'm really, really glad that you are generous of your time with us today and generous with your insights. And I really felt na very sincere yung approach mo sa career mo, very sincere yung approach mo sa service. You've talked about how this career seems to be parang underrated, but it's really, really important. Kasi nga, hindi nga kayo nakakapagbigay ng reseta, but you provide more insights to the phenomenon, a lot of the things that are happening around us. So thank you for shedding light on that. So if I may formally close our program for today, thank you again, Professor or Dr. Lhen Parungao Balolong with us today.
Just Len.
Just Len. And guys, if you have any other stories or topics to show, please reach out to me. My email is in the show notes down in the description box. So, Sari is a member of the Gorilla Podcast Syndicate. You can reach out to Gorilla Podcast website kung marami pa kayong ibang mga programs na gusto supportahan. But if you want to support Samut Sari, I'm available via my Twitter, my Facebook, my YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then, until next time, bye na muna tayo, Len. Thank you for coming today. And,
Sure. Anytime.
Okay, bye.
Next time, ha?
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Next time. Maso ulitin. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you find value in this episode, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified of new releases. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to Gorilla Podcast or send us an email at mimi@dinosocial.com. Spread the word and don't forget to tune in next time.